Hello everyone, Creepy Otter here. Just before we start the SCP, I would just like to wish all my Mexican viewers a happy Independence Day. So enjoy your meals and everything and have a nice day. Anyway, let's move on to Assistant Narrator Richardson, shall we? Hello there, Assistant Narrator Richardson signing in. And you know what? I really like jewels, like crystals and stuff like that. I'm really fascinated by them. Ever since I was younger, I liked them, especially quartz and that kind of thing. Anyway, let's start with this one, shall we? Notice to all staff. This file is currently pending a rewrite as of incident SCP-3963-1. Item number SCP-3963. Object class Safe. Special containment procedures. The item is to be stored in Containment Locker number 963 within Site 5. Site 5 has been stricken from the record. Personnel are to be reminded that there is no Site 5. Site 120 and is to be handled solely through the use of machines. Outside of testing, only D-Class may interact with SCP-3963 directly. Description: SCP-3963 is a pendant consisting of a 2-ply laid rope made from a currently unidentified plant fibre and a translucent emerald green piece of jadeite cut into the form of a spiral, presumed to be intended as a piece of jewellery. Humans who come into contact with or otherwise handle SCP-3963, even with the aid of protective garments or tools, disappear instantaneously. Humans who vanish in this fashion appear in SCP-3963-A, though they are still able to be heard and spoken to by those in SCP-3963's vicinity. Communication in this fashion can only be achieved with the last subject that comes into contact with SCP-3963. SCP-3963-A is a fully organic locale, presumed to be extra-dimensional. Subjects have reported a variety of environments, making mapping of the region difficult. Subjects typically complain of a sharp pain at a random location in their body upon manifesting in SCP-3963-A. The object was discovered by civilian archaeologists at a dig site 30 meters south of the Temple of Kukulkan in Yucatan, Mexico. 2 members of the dig site were lost exploring a newly uncovered chamber, with the remaining parties reporting their absence and subsequent ethereal communications to local authorities. Agents Went and Castillo were dispatched to investigate. The anomalous properties of the object were discovered once Agent Castillo made contact with SCP-3963, which was later recovered with the use of an explosives ordnance disposal robot. The surviving members of the dig were made to sign non-disclosure agreements, with one Professor Diaz electing instead to become inducted as a Level 1 Foundation employee, and a suitable cover story involving a cave-in was disseminated to the public. Agent Castillo was able to divulge little information regarding SCP-3963-A, describing the area in which he was in as foul-smelling and wet. He also complained of difficulty in breathing since his arrival. The agent was instructed to remain still and await retrieval, and replied that he was also stuck in an unknown foreign matter and could not free himself. Initial testing took place to discern the nature of SCP-3963 and to determine the possibility of recovering Agent Castillo and the lost civilians. Testing log. Subject D-963-Z. Summary: all audio/video and GPS devices ceased transmitting upon the subject's disappearance, along with 3 meters of cable attached to the subject's harness. Subject complained of abdominal pain upon manifestation within SCP-3963-A. She reported appearing in a large, fleshy, ovoid-shaped chamber, which extended upwards past what could be illuminated by her flashlight. The chamber was described as soft to the touch. The subject experienced difficulty traversing the terrain due to a rhythmic expansion and contraction of the area. Subject claimed to be alone and incapable of finding an exit. D-963-Z was instructed to climb the walls of the area to find a means of escape. 30 minutes into her ascent, Subject began shouting expletives and relayed to the team that she had lost her grip. Subject was heard screaming for 12 seconds before stopping abruptly. After this point, only muffled vocalizations could be heard. Notes: communication from Agent Castillo were noted to become absent upon D-963-C's interaction with SCP-3963. Test 2. Subject D-963-Y. Summary: Subject was heard gagging and vomiting for several minutes before she could compose herself. Subject reported appearing face down in a wet shaft, barely large enough to move in. She could not reach her flashlight to see, but described the area as having a foul stench. Test aborted after 20 minutes of failed effort from the subject in freeing herself. Notes: as with the previous tests, vocalizations from the previous entrant ceased when the current subject disappeared. Description revised. Test 4. Subject D-963-W. Summary: Subject screamed upon entering SCP-3963-A and repeatedly begged for assistance. Subject claimed that he was being held aloft in a tight cavity that fully inhibited movement. Subject reportedly experienced difficulty in breathing and ceased responding after 2 minutes, presumably expiring due to compressive asphyxia. Test 5. Subject D-963-V. Summary: non-applicable. Notes: test terminated due to budget concerns and gross waste of D-Class personnel. Incident report: during transport of SCP-3963, its rope snapped and the object fell to the ground. It shattered upon impact. Instantaneously, a middle-aged male appeared. He was wearing a highly stylized patty and feathered headdress, typical of Mayan royalty. The man appeared confused and balked at the surroundings for approximately 30 seconds. He began to scream and tore at his clothing. A large bulge began to form on his chest. Dr. D. Ashworth approached the individual to offer his assistance. The bulge swelled rapidly and ruptured in a violent manner, the force of which destroyed the individual's upper body, killing him and knocking D. Ashworth to the ground. A young woman covered head to toe in bile and blood was seen to be ejected from the wound. She managed to climb to her feet with assistance from D. Ashworth, whom she thanked repeatedly in Spanish. As D. Ashworth contacted medical personnel, the woman doubled over. Her stomach rapidly became engorged and ruptured. The resulting explosion killed her, showered D. Ashworth in viscera, and knocked him to the ground. The corpse of an unidentified male who exhibited corrosive burns over the entirety of his body was produced from this explosion. As the corpse lay on the ground, its lower back swelled and burst, producing Agent Castillo, who appeared shaken. His lower body was noted to be caked in fecal matter. Agent Castillo recognized D. Ashworth and pleaded for his assistance. The agent crawled on all fours towards D. Ashworth, who crawled away, attempting to distance himself from the agent. The agent began to hyperventilate and clutched his chest, out from which exploded D-963-Z. D-963-Z's trajectory through the air caused her to land on top of D. Ashworth, who was unable to free himself. before the D-Class's abdomen swelled between the two personnel, exploded and produced D-963-Y, who inadvertently kicked D. Ashworth in the face upon her sudden appearance. D. Ashworth managed to stand and distance himself from the D-Class, who shouted obscenities and swore vengeance upon the personnel who had signed her up for testing with SCP-3963. She brandished the flashlight that had been assigned to her on her exploration as a weapon, and approached D. Ashworth in a threatening manner. The corpse of D-963-X suddenly exploded out from her genital area, killing her instantly. D-963-X's head rapidly swelled and produced the corpse of D-963-W, who appeared to have bits of brain matter about his person. Security and medical personnel arrived at this time. Personnel kept their distance from D-963-W's corpse before Dr. Rivera informed them via intercom that D-963-W was the last subject to have been exposed to SCP-3963, and that the danger had subsided. As cleanup operations began, D-963-W's corpse underwent changes similar to his predecessors. The subject's body exploded, producing a humanoid creature. It stood approximately 5 meters tall and was covered in a jet black keratinous substance. It possessed claws, a pair of large curled horns, and a pair of webbed wings. This creature shrieked at personnel upon manifesting and lashed out with its claws in an aggressive manner. It darted across the room, knocking D. Ashworth out of its way and fracturing 2 of his ribs. It fell to its knees at the remains of SCP-3963 and swiftly began scooping the constituent pieces together into a pile, screaming the entire time and exhibiting panic. After 12 seconds of unsuccessfully piecing SCP-3963 back together, the entity let out a loud, sustained shriek and spontaneously combusted, leaving only a pile of ashes on the floor. Due to his proximity to the creature during its combustion, D. Ashworth's eyebrows were singed off. And that's the end of the document. Bloody hell, poor D. Ashworth. That whole thing was just him getting beaten up by explosion after explosion, and even kicked in the face at one point. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, that's it for this one. Goodbye. Hello there, Creepy Otter here, and I just want to say huge thank you to Shaggy Dreadlocks for this SCP. It was quite gruesome and quite funny at the same time. Plus, it came from Mexico, so it was great for today. Anyway, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to support me more, my Ko-fi is in the description below. And talking about my Ko-fi, we have the following people to thank: Toad King, Agent Maxwell, Dr. Ferron Sherman, /Site42, Ico, Grave Creations, Pro Renatura, Dilligath, Redacted, and Sub 9-3. I can't even put into words how thankful I am for all your support. Recently, as I said, we had the monitor problem, and you all supported me so much that I could get a new monitor and carry on recording videos, so thank you. It means a lot. Anyway, that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one as always. Goodbye.